Good to see you too. Good morning, Chairman Takano, Ranking Member Rowe, and members of the committee. I am grateful for the opportunity to testify before the House Veterans Affairs Committee and discuss an issue very important to my district. I proudly represent New York's 21st Congressional District, where nearly 1 in 10 adults is a veteran. That's what makes the work of this committee deeply personal to me and my constituents. Tomorrow, the Subcommittee on Health will discuss and debate several important pieces of legislation concerning veterans' health care, many of which have a special focus on improving the access and quality of care for women veterans. I applaud the committee, as well as your staffs, for focusing on this ever-important topic. Another topic that the subcommittee will discuss tomorrow is H.R. 2816, the Vietnam-era Veterans Hepatitis C Testing Enhancement Act. This is an incredibly important bill. To help my colleagues understand why, I would like to share a story with you. In 1970, Danny Kafitz, a young man from the North Country in New York, volunteered to serve in the United States Marine Corps while the country was embroiled in the Vietnam War. Danny completed training at Parris Island and went on to jungle warfare school and combat infantry training at Camp Lejeune. At some point during training, as any one of my colleagues who has been through boot camp knows, all the recruits were lined up like a factory assembly line and were inoculated with the necessary vaccinations. Back then, the armed forces, to include the Marines, used the Petojet air inoculation device, or jet gun, to quickly vaccinate one recruit after the next. And as is difficult for us to imagine today, medics were not required to sterilize the devices in between the inoculations. In fact, page 38 of the operator's manual explicitly states, quote, sterilization not required between injections. As we now know, this practice exposed thousands of recruits to dangerous and often deadly blood-borne diseases. Contamination happened without discrimination to volunteers and to those who were drafted, to those who went on to serve honorably for several years, and those who didn't make it through training, to those who saw combat and bear the emotional burdens of a horrific war, and those who, through some good fortune, were spared. Danny Kafitz thought he was one of the lucky ones who was able to serve his country and fellow Marines without going to combat. He proudly fulfilled his duty and was distinguished with the Meritorious Service Medal at the completion of his service contract. But unbeknownst to him, Danny did not leave the military unharmed. Nearly 40 years later, in 2011, Danny was diagnosed with hepatitis C. He sought and received treatment at the VA, and today Mr. Kafitz will tell you with gratitude that he owes his life to the outstanding medical staff at New York's VA. As you all know, Congress dedicated significant resources to enable the VA to test and treat veterans for the hepatitis C virus, and the VA has made significant progress to date. However, these efforts primarily focus on veterans enrolled in the VA, testing only 78% of the 2 million Vietnam-era veterans enrolled in VA care. Estimates indicate as many as 1 in 10 of the 8 million surviving Vietnam-era service members may be infected with hepatitis C due to the cross-contamination. Of those who do not meet VA eligibility criteria, as many as 7 million are considered at high risk for hepatitis C infection and unaware of their status. Our veterans deserve better. The Vietnam-era Veterans Hepatitis C Testing Enhancement Act focuses on hepatitis C screening and does not take away from the VA's efforts, it rather enhances them. Furthermore, the bill is budget neutral by utilizing resources previously allocated by Congress through the Honoring America's Veterans and Caring for Camp Lejeune Families Act. The concept has proven successful at a local level due to the extraordinary efforts led by my constituent, Danny Kafitz, and American Legion Post 1619. We owe it to an entire generation of veterans to provide this valuable screening tool. I urge my colleagues to join the American Liver Foundation, the AIDS Institute, and Vietnam Veterans of America to support H.R. 2816. Madam Chairwoman and Ranking Member, I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I thank the entire committee and staff for the invaluable work you do to support our nation's heroes. I look forward to working with you, and I yield back the balance of my time.